Cat and Lil Man here, and for another Grimm Brothers tale. And the last one was so short, I decided to go ahead and knock out a couple together. Are you done guarding? You're gonna chill for this one. Okay, let's see. What do we have for this one? Ooh, the Golden Goose. This could be a fun one. I know the, yeah, tale from like Puss in Boots and a few others. Let's see. Is it gonna be the same? And mid-range. There was once a man who had three sons. The youngest, who was called Simpleton, was constantly mocked, disdained, and slighted. So is it the same family? Because we were literally making fun of the simpleton youngster in the last story, and I think the one even before that. I'm starting to feel a little offended here. They always want to talk junk on the babies, only because they're jealous. What's that line in the interview with James Franco? They hate us because they ain't us. Except for it sounds like he's saying something else, and it's a really horrible line. But we'd go with that. They're just hating on us, babies in a family, because they don't get to be the babies in a family. Oh, little man. So you're not the baby anymore, but you might as well be. Um, she used to be the baby, even if she looks like, the biggest. The baby is somewhere, probably asleep under the bed, as our fluffy kitty Beezer. So, now, one day it happened that the oldest brother decided to go into the forest to chop wood. Before he went, his mother gave him a nice fine pancake and a bottle of wine so that he would not have to suffer from hunger or thirst. A whole bottle for one pancake? Okay. When he reached the forest, he met a gray old dwarf who wished him good day and said, "Give me a piece of the pancake from your pocket and let me have a drink of wine. I'm very hungry and thirsty." Well, that's not how you ask. However, the clever son answered, "If I give you my pancake and my wine, then I won't have anything for myself. So get out of my way." And he left the dwarf standing there and went farther into the forest. Bad idea. Does he not know what dwarfs are capable of? Like, hello? Gimli, anyone? You don't mess with the dwarfs. When he began chopping down a tree, it did not take long for him to make a slip and cut himself in the arm. And that was before he got drunk on the wine. So he had to return home and have his arm bandaged. All this happened because of the gray dwarf. Saw that one coming. Shortly thereafter, the second son went to the forest, and the mother gave him a pancake and a bottle of wine, just as she had given the oldest. The second son too met with the gray old dwarf, who asked him for a piece of pancake and a drink of wine. But the second son also spoke quite sensibly. "Whatever I give you, I'll be taking for myself. So get out of my way." See, they could have just ended that slightly more politely. Then he left the dwarf standing there and went farther into the forest. Soon his punishment came as well. After he had whacked a tree a few times, he struck himself in the leg. Consequently, he had to be carried home. They don't learn. And who was carrying him? Then Simpleton said, "Father, let me go now and chop some wood." "Your brothers hurt themselves doing that," said the father, "so I want you to steer clear of the woods, especially since you know nothing about chopping down trees. You just swing the axe until it falls, hopefully not on you, possibly on someone else." Just saying. However, Simpleton kept insisting until his father finally said, "Go ahead. Perhaps you'll learn something after you've hurt yourself." The mother gave him a pancake made out of water and ashes along with a bottle of sour beer. So his parents just suck. When he went into the forest, he too met the gray old dwarf, who greeted him and said, "Give me a piece of your pancake and a drink out of your bottle. I'm very hungry and thirsty." He also doesn't have any manners. "I have only a pancake made of ashes and some sour beer," answered Simpleton. "If that's all right with you, let's sit down and eat." So they sat down, and when Simpleton took out his cake made of ashes, it turned out to be a fine pancake, and the sour beer was good wine. After they had eaten and drunk, the dwarf said, "Since you have such a good heart and gladly share what you have, I'm going to grant you some good luck. There's an old tree over there. Just go and chop it down, and you'll find something among the roots." Then the dwarf took leave of him. See, better be nice to us little folks. We got magic powers. Simpleton went over and chopped down the tree. When it fell, he saw a goose with feathers of pure gold lying among the roots. He lifted the goose up and carried it with him to an inn where he intended to spend the night. Now, the innkeeper had 3 daughters, and when they saw the goose, they were curious to know what kind of strange bird it was. "It's a golden goose, and I bet it's going to lay golden eggs." Moreover, they each wanted to have one of its golden feathers. Of course they did. The oldest thought, "I'll surely find an opportunity to pluck one of its feathers." At one point, Simpleton went out, and she seized the goose by its wing, but her hand and fingers remained stuck to it. Soon afterward, the second sister came and also intended to pluck a golden feather. However, no sooner did she touch her sister than she became stuck to her. Finally, the third sister came with the same intention, but the other two screamed, "Keep away! For heaven's sake, keep away!" But she did not comprehend why she should keep away and thought, "If they're there, I see no reason why I can't be." So she ran over, and when she touched her sister, she became stuck to her, and all 3 had to spend the night with the goose. "What you doing, Lil Man? You getting some weird sits going." "Yeah, being a good boy." "Yeah, that's my good boy." Good boy. The next morning, Simpleton took the goose in his arm, set out, and did not bother himself about the 3 sisters who were stuck to the goose. Did he, not see them? How do you miss 3 chicks just grabbing your goose? They were compelled to run after him constantly, left and right, wherever his legs took him. In the middle of a field, they came across the parson. When he saw the procession, he said, "Shame on you, you naughty girls. Is that the right way to behave?" "No, but too late. Does mommy need to tuck you in?" "Okay. Gotta tuck in the little baby." Upon saying that, he grabbed the youngest sister by the hand and attempted to pull her away. But when he touched her, he also got stuck and had to run along behind them. So he shouldn't be grabbing folks. Learn his lesson. Shortly afterward, the sexton came by and saw the parson trailing the 3 girls on their heels. In his amazement, he called out, "Hey, parson, where are you off to in such a hurry? Don't forget that we have a christening today." The sexton ran up to the parson, and as soon as he touched his sleeve, he became stuck like the others. Now the 5 of them had to trot after Simpleton. One stuck to the other, and they approached 2 farmers who were coming from the fields with their hoes. Oh, I could say some things. But now they're just gonna have a nice conga line that Simpleton doesn't realize is behind him. The parson called out to them to set them loose. However, as soon as they touched the sexton, they got stuck, and now there were 7 of them trailing Simpleton and his goose. After some time, Simpleton came to a city ruled by a king who had a daughter that was so serious she never laughed. "The curse of these, they always make me yawn." "It's gonna be nap time." Consequently, the king issued a decree that whoever could make her laugh would have her for his wife. When Simpleton heard that, he went before the king's daughter with his goose and its followers. And when she saw the 7 people all attached to one another and running along, she burst out laughing, and it appeared as if she would never stop. So Simpleton demanded the princess as his bride. But the king had no desire to have him for a son-in-law, raised all kinds of objections. "He made the rules. He should follow them." It doesn't sound like for once that she's objecting. At least she got someone with an accidental sense of humor. Could be worse. Eventually, he said that first Simpleton would have to produce a man capable of drinking the contents of a cellar full of wine before he could wed his daughter. So he wants a drunk for his son-in-law? Okay. Now, if Simpleton quickly remembered the Grey Dwarf for he thought that might help him. Therefore, he went out into the forest, right to the spot where he had chopped down the tree. There he saw a man with a sad face sitting and moping. Simpleton asked him what was bothering so much, and he answered, "I'm terribly thirsty and don't seem to be able to quench my thirst. I can't stand cold water, and just now I emptied a barrel of wine. That was like a drop on a hot stone." Well, because it's, alcohol and sugar. It's not exactly refreshing. Cold water is bland, though. "Well, I can help you," said Simpleton. "Just come with me, and you'll be able to drink your fill." He led him to the king's cellar. The man rushed over to the large barrels and set to work. He drank so much that his sides began to hurt. But before the day was over, he had emptied the entire cellar. So once again, Simpleton demanded his bride. The king was perturbed that such a common fellow, who everyone called Simpleton, was to have his daughter. Therefore, he set a new condition. Now Simpleton had to produce a man who could eat a mountain of bread. What is with these eating, glutton yourself tasks? I'm not sure that proves anything other than you can find some folks with nothing to do and a big belly. Simpleton immediately reacted by going directly into the forest. There, on the same spot as before, he saw a man sitting who was pulling in a belt around his waist. The man made an awful face and said, "I've eaten an oven full of coarse bread, but what good is that when I'm as hungry as a lion? My stomach's still empty, and I have to pull in my belt if I don't want to die of hunger. I wish I could eat a whole, oven full of bread and still, not have any jiggle. These magic cheaters." The simpleton was glad to hear that and said, "Get up and come with me. You shall eat your fill." He led him to the king's courtyard, where the king had gathered all the flour in the entire kingdom and had it baked into a tremendous mountain. He might be a bad king. However, the man from the forest stepped up to it, began eating, and consumed the whole mountain in one day. Now, for the third time, Simpleton claimed his bride. The king found another way out and demanded a ship that could sail on land and water. "As soon as you come sailing back in it, you shall have my daughter for your wife." Simpleton went straight into the forest and encountered the gray old dwarf to whom he had given his cake. "I've drunk and eaten for you," said the dwarf. "Now I'll also give you the ship. I'm doing all this because you treated me so kindly." Then he gave him the ship, and when the king saw it, he could no longer prevent him from marrying his daughter. The wedding was celebrated, and after the king's death, Simpleton inherited the kingdom and lived happily ever after with his wife. The lesson of the story: don't mess with us short folks. We can be your enemy or your friend. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed that, and I will see you soon. Bye. Happy reading.